Why are you working? I feel like that's a question that we've all asked ourselves before. And no matter if you're working to retire or if you're working to go on a vacation, or maybe you're working for legacy, building long term generational wealth, no matter what you're working for, it all revolves around one thing, usually, and that's money. And if it all revolves around money, it really, makes you ponder the question, why? Why are we all working for money? And when you think about this, I guess it can be simple. We work for money to, pay for life's necessities, what we need, food, water, rent, bills, mortgage, everything you need as far as what you can do with money. However, there is a time thing that involves money as well, I feel like. And I really feel like for a lot of us, unknowingly, we work for the freedom that, the time freedom that money buys us. So whether you're working to retire, if you're working to, retire 40 years from now, say you're 20 years old, 20 years young, however you want to put it, and you're working to retire at 60 or 63 or 65, whenever that retirement age is, and you've got it in your mind that once you retire you'll be able to travel the world and go to different countries and do whatever else you would like, but the bottom line is you feel like you'll be free, so you feel like you'll have the freedom to do what you like to do. You have the money that creates the freedom, but you'll also have the time, and that time comes by way of having the money to be free to do things you want to do with your time instead of doing things you don't want to do, which is work. Now, if that sounds like you, then, something that you really have to think about is, why put off your career? Why put off your real goals and what you want out of life for something so far down the road that, to be honest with you, there's no guarantee that you'll get there. As far as 60 years old or 65 years old, there's no guarantee that you'll live to be that old, that young, that age of life. And with you not having a guarantee to live there, then why put up money and do something in the moment that you are not fulfilled with to benefit you in the long term, or in the long term, being 60, 40 years from now, that's 60, 63. That may be a way you think, and there's no right or wrong answer, but the way I look at that same scenario is do what you would like to do now, right? So now, before we get into more of what I mean right there, do me a favor and go ahead and like that subscribe button, and let's get into it. So doing what you want to do now, it allows you to live, to have the time and freedom per se, right? To have the time and freedom and money to do what you want to do. You can have it all right now instead of waiting because you have to do something else. Now, the right now approach doesn't mean right now in this very moment, right? No, not specifically that. But the argument of right now just has to do with when you're doing something that you truly love, it does not feel like there's a process involved, versus if you're doing something that you don't like to do, but you're just comfortable with doing it or you don't mind doing it, it's going to feel long, right? So 60 years, 63 years old, 65 years old will feel like a long time if you're at the same position that you were in 40 years prior. So if you're 20 years old right now, or 25, whatever old you are. But the bottom line is, if you're doing that same thing that you're just okay with, it does not excite you, there's no growth in it, then it's going to feel like a long time. Yet if on the flip side of that coin, you are chasing your dreams and you really just living your life right now by building a foundation that will be able to support you in the near future, right? So not particularly 50 years or 40 years from now, but something that'll be able to support you in the near future, but you're so invested in the process that it doesn't seem like a huge process, though the reward may not seem huge right now, yet something that you're doing it has appreciation. So there's equity in it, whatever you're doing, that you can keep growing, and there's no cap to how growth, to how big you can grow. So that's just something to think about. Why are you doing it, right? Now, another argument is, or another, not argument, but another, thought is generational wealth. To create generational wealth. So some people, believe sacrificing the now to create generational wealth for the future, right? And I agree with being able to create generational wealth for the future. But, at what expense as well? Because you have to be able to support and live your life now. So the way you can, benefit by growing your way up out of that situation is by getting more income and more ways to create more income in the present. That way you can, have more of what you want now. And, living your life now, guys, I want you to, understand something. Doesn't technically mean you have to have more income. Like, not technically, but obviously more income, it just leads to more things, more opportunities, more avenues of life being unlocked for you. However, you still can create your life, now, or, not even just now, but you can create your life in general with whatever income that you do have. Whatever income you do have, you can create the life, your dream life with it, if it's set up correctly, right? If the foundation's strong, if you build it right, it'll never fall. So if you built it right, then it'll never fall. So make sure, in this next era that we're living in, obviously we're in a digital age for a reason. And, though people to people, peer to peer, that type of transaction will never go away. And I honestly think it'll become more valuable over the next, 15 to 20 years, because the digital age is here. So peer to peer is very valuable. However, there's a lot to take over, yeah, right now, especially in the next 10 to 15 years, still with the internet. The internet is still in its infancy compared to where it will be and where it's going. So, build you something strong foundation wise that's based off the internet, that's little human contact needed. You put a system in place and you keep going. I feel like that'll, be what's very important for a lot of you guys. If you're like me, I like to, be able to live my life, live in a place where I'm not pressed to go on a vacation, because where I live at feels like a vacation per se, because I'm comfortable living there, and also, it's something new to explore. But I'm a bit of a nomad myself. Like, I like to bounce around as far as, where I live at. That's just something that I realized, within myself. But creating, businesses and, certain processes that allows me to, does not have my income attached to where I live at, it creates freedom to be able to experience life, wherever I want to ultimately. But it also, just me being at my phase right now, it's also inspired me and motivated me to get to a different stage of that approach as well. Being able to work and, do whatever you want to do by having the income come in passive, even when you sleep. And, me being in real estate, I know that, but there's multiple ways out there. So, you find your way and definitely make that work for you, because why do we work? It's not to, if I told you I'd give you $1 million right now to work 7 days straight, no breaks. So, 24 hours times 7. If I told you to do that, or if I asked you to work, 2 hours for $100, you'll probably work the 2 hours for $100, or you might say no to both of them. Either way, you're probably not going to do the 7 days straight of physical labor of pure working for $1 million, because you physically cannot do it. You physically couldn't do it. Even if you try it, you're not about to stay up, So it's just that type of mindset right there. Have the type of mindset with which your approach is. That way you guys will be able to approach it with an abundance mindset and know that there is, not even a light at the end of the tunnel, but just knowing that there is a quote unquote end, right? So you want to approach what you're doing with the end goal in mind. So see your end goal, know why, and you figuring out why you're working will really help you figure out your end goal. And, maybe it'll keep you out of work. Maybe you won't have to work once you get all this together and you put your dots together, right? As always, guys, get to stepping, figure out your why. Why are you working? What is it all for? What does it mean to you? If you like, get a little social with me. Comment below, why are you working?